Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator on America's Next. I have Alfred Cleveland here with me today. How you doing, Alfred?
I'm feeling great, bro. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Happy to be here today, and real excited that you were able to take time out of your busy schedule to be here with us tonight. And I mean that. I want to say hello to all of our folks, whether you be on Roku TV, Apple TV, Android TV, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Fire, or E360 TV. Hello, and I appreciate you being here tonight. If you're in the building, feel free to drop a comment or ask a question, be a part of our episode. Let Facebook and YouTube know that our show is valuable by hitting the like button, the share button, getting somebody else in this conversation, and let's rock and roll. Without further ado, Al, where you from?
I'm from Queens, New York.
Okay.
Farmers Boulevard, from LL made that famous, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm from Queens, man, and came up in the hip hop culture, graffiti, music, all that, man. I was right there in the heart of it, thick of it. Yeah.
Right in the thick of things, as they say right now, right?
I was.
If you can, take us to that era. Paint that picture for us. What did it sound like, look like, taste like on Farmers Boulevard? That's true. When you say Farmers Boulevard, you get this image of LL Cool J doing pull-ups on the crosswalk sign.
Yeah.
Talk to us. What was it like for you?
Man, you know what I'm saying? Speaking of that, it was, we was right there in my next door neighbor's house. He was a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
His name was E. And everybody used to really hang out in his house. We used to just be down there listening to him on his turntables, me, some other dudes from the neighborhood. Before he had even came out, we was down there practicing and going in. You know what I'm saying?
With LL Cool J.
Yeah, I wish I had some of them tapes, man. It was nice, bro.
Hold on, what was that like hanging out with LL Cool J, man? This is a big deal, if you ask me. I'm already into this. What was it like interacting with LL Cool J as a kid?
Well, you know what I'm saying? He was like me, a lone wolf. Don't do that well with groups, and things of that nature. So even when he was, we would go to his tour dates, you know what I'm saying? Like we would have backstage passes because Cut Creator, E-Love lived across the street. Cut Creator lived down the block. These was guys that was all in our neighborhood. So anytime he was in Connecticut, Virginia, wherever, we would load up all the guys from the hood and go down there and just have a ball, staying at the hotels they was in or going backstage, looking at the shows, Public Enemy, Big Daddy Kane, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're taking me down memory lane now, but this is a crucial point in hip hop history, man.
It is.
And I'm not saying this just like because it was an era I came up in. Hip hop, you got to understand, hip hop came and really shook things up. And it was giving voice to people that didn't really have no voice. All components, whether it was dance, whether it was graffiti, or whether it was the music, you was given. I'm an artist.
Okay.
I don't really jumping around, but I tried to get my stuff in galleries. But as you can see right here, I'm really a graffiti artist. That's where I started with graffiti.
Okay. You did that behind you.
Yeah. That's me. Crack 5. I used to be Queens. I was real heavy into graffiti and the whole graffiti scene. So now I'm really jumping around. But you asked about feeling and smelling.
Yeah.
The era back then. You know what I'm saying? This was a time when we would go down into the subways and it'd be other groups down there, other graffiti artists, and it was a time that you might meet some guys that you really respected, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they met you and you had a black book, and if they was worthy enough to have your black book, you might give them yours or y'all exchange, and he do a piece in yours, you do a piece in his, y'all meet back up, and they had a little place called a writer's bench where we would all meet up and tell up and exchange information about different layups, about different train yards, about different markers, about where to get certain supplies from. You know, it was just basically like a trade show, but more underground, and
Right.
it was for the graffiti artists. So just to get back on track a little bit before I just start going off, hip hop, man, gave us the tools. I'm talking about a whole generation. It gave them the tools to business through very simple principles. And it's the same principles that it would take some kids going through Princeton or a business school and hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn. You could have learned it right from the elementary principles of hip hop.
Right.
It empowered us to be independent, to be bosses, to run our own thing and try to control our intellectual property.
That's right.
You know, so whether it's clothing, music, or whatever, ownership. It gave us the mindset of ownership. So yeah, hip
You
hop.
had a stake in the germination of one of the most powerful cultures to have come about in the past 200 years.
Yeah.
Did you know that you were a part of something big back then? Even when people said, "Oh, this music form isn't going anywhere," like, did you know that the culture was here to stay? As a graffiti artist, did you know that the culture was here to stay?
Yeah, I did. I did. I don't know how I knew it, but I absolutely knew it. You know, I knew that graffiti would one day be accepted in galleries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was frowned upon. And you know, when you think about it, you know, people think about graffiti, they think about vandalism, and nobody, I guess we're kind of like a despised group of individuals, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
But it's nothing like
yeah.
it's nothing like seeing a nice mural on the wall, you know what I'm saying, with some spray paint and it's raw. It beautifies the community to me.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I mean, it's just something I love. But yeah, I was a crucial part of that, and I'm proud to have been a part of that era. You know,
Absolutely.
um,
You know, when I used to go to the library, there was a gentleman who used to go to the library as well, and he would always be covered in paint, and he used to have to hurry up and get on the internet and run out. Now, for anybody who knows, library culture, you go to the same library, you sit on a computer, and you get to know the other people who frequent the library after school. And so this guy, he would always come in, get on the computer real fast, and run out.
yeah,
And one day he was on a computer next to me, and I asked him, I said, "Hey man, what are you
yeah,
into?"
yeah,
He said, "I'm a graffiti artist." He said, and I look up different places in the city that I'm gonna go tag. And he said that's what I use the computer for. He would actually look up like the location, the image, and he talked to me a little bit about graffiti culture. And it was at that moment that I realized that this is way more than vandalism on the side of a
yeah,
building, or
yeah,
somebody's name. I mean, it's a huge world.
yeah.
Can you talk to me a little bit, as much as you can, about graffiti culture and the elements, the respect, and the legacy that goes into it? What's it made of?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good information you just shared. I never heard that on the computer. I see graffiti artists on a computer. I don't really understand what they're doing nowadays so
Mhm.
much, but I can tell you back then it was about branding, you know, typography. You know, you have a group of people now who they love what you would call fonts, but to those in our circle, it's typography, and they love different letters. Letters have a backbone, they have legs, they have arms. They put together, they form images, and But at the root, you know, you could just take a K, you know what I'm saying? It stands strong on the back. It has legs, it has arms kicking out, and M's, you know what I'm saying? All of this stuff it has a foundation and it's building and it's arcs, you know, so it means something to us. It's because in the beginning was the word, really, when you take it back. It's about words. But with graffiti, it's not, it's more protest. You know, here it was, you had a group of kids that didn't want to go along with the status quo or the way things were. So they didn't know how to articulate what they were feeling. So they just took it out on buildings, on establishments, on business, on things that they just felt like these corporations are, you know, they're trying to control our minds, they're trying to control us. You know how people think.
Yeah.
So it just came out, man, and it developed into a beautiful art form that it just amazed us, and it became a subculture. You know, let me tell you, but it's very serious though. Like, just to give you an example of how serious it was, some older guys took me to what was called like the dead station. This was about 4 or 5 levels under the ground in New York. I was glad to be around these guys. These guys were very known artists, very talented, and would get paid for even doing murals sometime. But they took me to one little layup, and we went down there. And this was the first time I got to really witness guys that were territorial. Like, I don't know if these guys were a gang, but this was obviously like their area, somewhere in Brooklyn, you know what I mean? And we were down there, and we had a vision, you know, we had our little papers, our little sketches, and we were going to do whole trains. So we had duffel bags, cans, we mobbing down there. And while we started working, I seen one of the guys in a light, you know, jump onto the platform. These were old platforms, old train stations from like the 50s that had closed down. But they brought the trains there to clean them.
Hold on.
Right.
Not to cut you off, but it sounded like you said that this was 4 levels under the city.
Right. Yep.
What do you mean by that? 4 levels under the city. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So at certain parts of New York, they are like junctions where trains merge and it's a lot of traffic. So back in the 50s, it was a lot of hustle bustle in these particular sections, but they were now closed down. So you might have the E train or 2 train, you know, it was just levels, and that's the way they built them.
Right. Okay.
So now these train stations weren't open. The trains would park there to be washed. So the graffiti artists would make their way down there where you can get on the platform and do a whole car.
Wow.
If you wanted to do a mural that was like your billboard, we didn't have no money to get billboards and stuff like that. We didn't even really have a business, but it was about the respect and the thrill and the fun and the art, man, the art form.
That's right.
You know, we wasn't known like, you know, being known. Here it is, you got some kids and we fighting to be like, make ourselves known in the world. And amongst us, it was a big thing, man. It was a big thing.
You know, we are giving respect to the graffiti artists today. There are several different characters who grew the hip hop culture, which now some people just call, you know, African American culture or Black culture in general. That's how big it's become, where it's synonymous with, you know, our entire people to an extent. And what we're raising awareness about tonight is that, yes, you have the rapper, you have the DJ, you have the b-boy, but you also have the graffiti artist who is this very dynamic character in the grand scheme of things. This is somebody who investigates the actual cartography of the city and figures out where in this city can I say what the people need to say. And do I need to put it on the side of a bridge? Do I need to put it on the side of a building? Do I need to put it on the side of a railroad car? Do I need to put it on the side of the train? On the side of your pickup truck, your semi truck?
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, talk to me about how you guys also have to figure out, how do I strap myself to the side of this building? How do I, you know, overcome the fear of being on the side of a 10-story building, you know, putting this work of art up there? Talk to me about the way that you guys risked your lives to say things that needed to be said on behalf of the culture.
You definitely risk your life, because when you're in the subways, when you jump off that platform, you go in between stations, you down there with rats, you down there with you down there with subway workers that under the cloak of darkness, if they catch you, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna try to beat you up. You got people that don't like graffiti artists, so they vigilantes, and they could take it to any level that they wanted to. And then you standing to do certain things, to do certain work down there, you're standing on the third rail. The only thing separating you from the 100,000 volts or whatever going through there is a piece of wood that's on top of the third rail. So you got to stand on that sometime to get high, and sometimes you running from, I don't know if I should be, you running from cops. I don't know if I should really be talking about all this. You know what I'm saying? It was fun, man. It was. I'm just wondering how the regular person would think about this conversation. You know what I'm saying? Upstanding, you know, like, what these guys. But man, if you see, if people just take some time to really look at what some of these artists are doing, man, it is so phenomenal. And like I said, man, it's business. Let me just you were about to say something, or you want?
Well, I just wanted to actually co-champion what you were saying, and remind everybody that, you know, our platform is to learn about the stories of others. We don't do censorship here, and in my opinion, graffiti is something that's always needed to be understood better.
Yeah.
You know, ever since I met that young man in the library, and he must have been maybe 14, 15, or 16 or something like that. And he was like on a mission, like he had a job. His job was to tag whatever destination he had set out to tag. And so, you know, this is a story that needs to be told. And I'm honored that you were somebody who was a member of that culture, and you were intermingled with people who became pioneers of hip hop culture. So what you're saying is extremely relevant. Go ahead.
Yeah. And you know, since you mentioned that, you know, I think name dropping gets a little corny, but since we're talking about LL, you know what I mean? In his book, I Make My Own Rules, he spoke of me, you know what I'm saying? I did his wall in his basement, and
wow,
it was his name. This was when he first started, you know, got some spray paint, and he talked about it as being a place where he would go and write some of his rap. You know what I'm saying? It was a place he drew inspiration from. You know what I'm saying? I wish, matter of fact, I just had a chance to go back to New York for the first time in like probably 25 years, man. And I went to the house to ask the person if it was still there, because I heard it was still there, and I wanted to get the picture. But dude, whoever it was, he wasn't on it, man.
right.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it is inspirational. It's inspirational, man.
Okay. Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah. Yes, I do. You know, I got two brothers. You know.
What was life like for you all growing up? Let's say around, you know, high school age. What was going on in high school? What were the dynamics? Where were you all? Talk about your parents too.
Right. So just so people can know, because your viewers might not know anything about me. So let me just fast forward, and then I'll go right back to that right there. Okay. So I did 25 years for something I didn't do in prison, and I was just released in October.
Wow.
So yeah, so I did that, and but prior, now let me go back. My brothers and them and sisters, they were kind of like in the streets, you know, for whatever reason. They kind of like was in that era where they wanted to this was the 80s. This when everybody was trying to claw their way out. You know, crack had got introduced, so they were kind of like, you know, in that whole little scene. And you know, like many other families, it kind of like tore my family apart. You know, the crack epidemic, it ran through some of my siblings, you know, and you know, they've been dealing with it, wrestling with it. Some made it, some didn't. That's a whole nother story. But I was on something else. You know what I mean? I was on a different journey, and my main focus was trying to go to the NFL, trying to get into the right school, and I was on that track, you know, and baseball, and you know, I was real focused as a young guy, you know, but my sister got killed, and she got killed by some skinhead dudes who were trying to initiate a member of their gang, and found my sister out there, picked her up and took her to a park. She was using drugs, you know what I mean? Took her to a park and used her as a sacrifice. So this was in the late 80s. So those guys got busted, and it became a thing in the city. This was Detroit. This was Detroit where my sister lived. So my mom was protesting, you know what I'm saying? That's when I got my first dose of activism. And the city was divided, and it was a big thing back then. And so I was able to watch all of that, but I'm more, instead of being an activist, I was too young, but I more internalized things and went into my art and kind of started backing away from just start not caring. That was the point in my life. I start not to really care that much anymore, you know, because I didn't really understand how individuals could do such a thing to somebody so heinous, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it's graphic and you got to hear this stuff in courts and in papers and all that, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy. So my attitude changed around that point right there. And I kind of start letting that stuff go, getting into gangster rap, start coming out, you know what I'm saying? Found out I had some talent with that, and start going that route, getting in the studio, having a vision, start a record company, all that. So LL, like I told you, LL, right in our area, we seen him rise to a national stage. So we like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Our area was hot. We had a lot of nice talent there. So just kind of went on that path right there. Yeah.
When you began to write rhymes, when you began to write lyrics and you know, get into rap, did you find that you were rapping about a life that you did not live, or were you coming up with lyrics that describe like your actual life?
Nah, I was living it. I was living what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Was that hard for you to do, or did it kind of just flow from you? Did you want to tell a story? Everybody, we're talking to Alfred Cleveland tonight, and he is giving us a very interesting story about, you know, his life. You know, starting in New York, but obviously going to different places around the country, and he's a very involved member of the emergence of hip hop culture. Let's give him a second to leave and come back if you can. I'm gonna take him off the screen and see if we can reestablish a connection. So he's probably going to leave and come back. But everybody, I want you all to take this moment to tag somebody, text somebody, get somebody else into the building, because this is a great conversation that we're having tonight. And I feel that we are shedding the light on some aspects of life out of the 80s that is very important. You know, for instance, the graffiti artist is somebody who has obviously, you know, been a member of our culture. You look around, you see the graffiti, but I've never really known the story behind the graffiti out there. I've never known the life, the risk that these people have taken, you know, and any of those types of things. So let's all sit back, continue to listen to his story. Drop comments or questions if you have those, and let's continue to have a great time. Right now, I'm gonna take a break, and hopefully we'll get him back in the building. So everybody, sit tight. We'll be right back after this brief message. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network and our viewership. And we're back. Hey, Alfred, how you feeling out there?
I'm feeling great, bro. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Feeling great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great job. Anytime we lose connection, just leave and come back because we're in this thing together.
Okay.
Right back into the story. We were definitely in the throw of things, and you were talking about what happened in Detroit and how it changed your attitude. And I feel you relate to so many thousands of people across America tonight when you talk about how the drug epidemic impacted your family. It impacted, your city, and it began to affect your attitude about life overall. I wonder how many people out there had to go through the work of changing their minds because their minds were traumatized by the impact of drugs in our communities, and they had to, change their mind and try to get back on track, save their lives, gain their balance back. And so you have the floor. Go ahead.
Wow. I mean, yeah. And I mean, as you were just saying that right there, it made me think about how important it is for people to be able to grieve properly when they suffer some kind of loss, man.
That's right.
And what I've seen in prison, I want to talk about, I don't know why, but today I want to go into prison and talk to you about that a little bit, man. But
okay.
I think from what I saw, most people will just look at what a person did, you know what I'm saying? But when you inside and you get to know a different part of a person, you have the ability to look past what they did and start to understand what happened. And I'm telling you, man, when you start to understand people and listen to their stories, which is what you're doing now, then you will have more compassion, more empathy, and more general understanding of a person, man, of people. And when you got an understanding of people, then there's less fear. Then you can have a better relationship. You could come together on some things, and it empowers you. So
well, talk to us about what's going on in the penitentiary. And you said that you were wrongfully convicted and you spent 25 years in prison.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't make it home in that span of time. You have other people who come home, completely changed, maybe even institutionalized. And so, you've been on a warrior's journey tonight. And can you educate us a little bit about, what's going on in those four walls? Are you guys, is it like you guys are having your rights violated? Is it a madhouse in there? Are you guys disrespecting each other? What are your thoughts on respect? Where's the value in being in jail or in prison? Where's the value? What is it that we need to know about the value of those men and women behind bars?
Right. I mean, you're talking about value. So I got to go right there. You know what I mean? And that's a big thing right there, man. People, they have low self-value. I mean, if you just think about this, what would make a person risk his life out in the streets, whether it's selling drugs or whatever? If you valued your life, like if you really valued your life, you know what I'm saying? What would make you take that type of chance to take this drive and you got one shot. Like if you get caught, it's like, you're in big trouble. Like it's not even like a business. Like you give me a loan and I'll try to start a business and we try to make it work. And if it don't, we're not going to jail. We might lose, but it's just a failed venture. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
with that game, it's all or nothing, bro.
Yeah.
So like the risks are too high. So why are we taking such risks with
Talk about it. Why are we taking these risks?
Yeah, because it's a vicious cycle, starting with how we value ourselves or don't value ourselves. And we don't value ourselves because of certain things that might have happened in our lives that make us feel guilty about things or shame or whatever. Sometimes it's abuse. People go through all kinds of things and it becomes just a vicious cycle that they can't get out of, and it brings their esteem down and their value, and then they just do things, and it's really just like a scab over an open wound. It's never really healed. So you got guys in prison and they got these scabs and it's just become hardened and it never really healed, man, because maybe nobody took the chance to really see what's really, really going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
but I'd like to make this a victorious moment for all of our friends and families and communities right here on America's Next Motivator inside of this hour by addressing the lack of conversations around our value that is crippling us, and making us take life chances, and it's making us do unsafe things. It's making us not value the lives of one another by taking each other's lives. And so obviously this is where we need to pick up the slack. We need to start talking about the value of one another. See, and we grew up learning about how valuable we were and how all the gold and diamonds and silver in the world didn't amount to the value of what we have inside. Yeah, you in poverty in the projects. Yeah, you living in urban America, clear across the country. Yeah, you living on the ground instead of at the 10th floor of the skyscraper. And even those people who are fortunate to live in a middle class home or be born into wealth, all that wealth is still not as valuable as your life is valuable. Now, I think this is the key to elevating all of humanity right here. Our understanding of value of one another.
It is.
So let's unpack this right here and let's pull the dynamite out of it. Because they say energy can't be destroyed, nor they say energy can't be created nor destroyed, only transferred, right? And so that means that the energy that's in you and I, it's been around as far as we can tell, because we're made of energy, right? And we know that energy is valuable. People pay for energy. It's like the lights, the very computers that we're on to do this broadcast. And so we know that energy is valuable, but somehow we don't connect the value of energy to the value of human life. But see, human life is based off of energy.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to outright say it. I don't know the exact number, but we have to start believing that one man is worth, a few $100 million just by being alive.
That's right.
Because there's so much energy in you. There's so much electricity in you, and people value electricity. So I gotta say you're worth a few $100 million just by being alive. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you just think about it, just on I'm talking about on, let's bring it down. You right there, but let's bring it down right here.
Yep.
It's people that will take your lungs or your liver or your kidney, and they got a high price tag they can sell that for.
Wow.
So, just your eye right there. Would you give me, if I gave you 100,000, would you give me your eye?
Wow.
Would you? Most likely you wouldn't give me your eye for 100,000.
Right.
It's worth a whole lot more than that. You can keep your eye and make 100,000. But I'm just saying, when you look at it in terms of that, of value, you know, millions, you know what I'm saying? All your parts, millions.
Yeah.
And if you got good health by the grace of God, then you're really rich because you can have
Oh.
all of the money in the world, billions. But
Mhm.
if you don't have your health, you're on your deathbed, you would probably give it all just to have a few more months to live, man.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you got your health, you know what I'm saying? Thank God for that, bro.
That's right.
Thank God for that. You're rich. And you could be right there in prison, or you could be right out there, one of your viewers, you know what I'm saying? You might think, oh, you know, I ain't got what this person got. I ain't got, you know what I'm saying? Everybody think the grass is greener on the other side. It's
That's
not
right.
green, bro.
That's
It's
right.
not green. Let me tell you something. You know, in there is just a microcosm of the macrocosm, the big world.
That's right.
You know, so you learn little things in there that you can apply out here. Just like if you read Proverbs or anything, it's the principles that you learn, you know. So I want to just go over a few principles that I learned, 2 or 3 of them from in there for
Okay.
your viewers,
Yeah.
from the inside. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
One of them is when I was in there doing time, like I did a lot of music. I was, like I told you, in the music scene, in some bands, making CDs, making music. Right? Some guys that I rock with would leave and go home, whatever, come back a couple years later, and then want to get right back in the rotation in the music and carry on, like try to get right back in the groove of things. And I'm like, yo, you had an opportunity to get in a real studio out there, man. What you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You had a chance to take everything we did and take it, all this pre-production, and take it to another level. So you know what that is, man? You're bidding off me, man. And that's what a lot of people seek to do. You know what I mean? They just really are there to take up your time, man.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll take it in chunks, bro, if you let them. So it applies to right out here. It could be at a job and you got work to do, but you got this individual, he likes to jack off the boss's time, you know what I'm saying? He roaming around at the ice cooler, doing this and that, trying to take a bathroom break every 15 minutes, you know what I'm saying? This man paying y'all to do this job, but he wants to come and talk to you all the time to get in the way of what you trying to do. You got to get these type of people out your life, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Pry them out, man, because you have to be so focused out here. And this is just from my observation, man. It's so many distractions out here that if you're not extremely focused, man, you ain't going to be able to get stuff accomplished, man, because you're going to be constantly pulled to the left or the right. So I don't know, I'm talking, man, but
no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Stop letting people bid off of you.
Yeah.
Out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about principles learned in prison.
Yeah.
And we had a comment from Emery Curry. He says, many have misdirected their value of self and others through economic depravity and belief in the dollar. And I feel that he's on to something there. You know, we, through the media, through you know, influences that are in our communities, through, you know, the smell in our project hallways, we start really believing that we are worthless. But like you just said a few minutes ago, Alfred, that if somebody can look at you and say, his eyes are worth $250,000 each, his heart is worth $300,000, his lungs are worth $80,000 each, his kidney is worth $70,000. Oh, this man is he's $10 million walking. But when you zoom in on that individual, he thinks he's worthless. He think his worth is approaching zero because he doesn't have any green dollars in his pocket. And so what we are raising awareness about tonight is the intrinsic value that each of us possess that we need to begin to understand. You know, and it sounds like some of us go all the way through life without having this conversation that we're having right here on our show tonight about value. This is not hypothetical. There has been a price put on your very body. This is not hypothetical. There has been a value placed on your very life. And it stands to show tonight that we are not placing any value on our own lives. Us, the subject, the creators of culture. Now, when somebody calls you a king, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Given what you appear to know about the value of your body without even talking about the value of your soul. When somebody says, "Hey king," or "I appreciate you, king," because that's what we're doing out here these days. We'll say, "Hey king," or "Hey queen." How do you appropriate that? How are you able to deal with that? What does it mean to you when somebody calls you a king? Are you able to accept it?
Right. That's true. That's true. That's true. And that's ultimately at that. Now you're going somewhere else. That's raw because the crown has been bought and paid for. All we really have to do is wear the crown,
Wow.
and it's really there, man. It's been there. You ever seen the Wizard of Oz? Then if you really break down the Wizard of Oz, man, these people tried to make it. He thought he needed courage. He thought he needed heart. He needed, So they went on this journey to this wizard who they thought could give them what they wanted. And when they got there, the wizard was basically, it was a scam. And they basically found out what they've been searching for. They already had.
Wow.
So the crown, man, we really kings. You just got to walk in it and start acting like you a king.
That's right.
This is another thing I found out in prison, man. Yo, you have to be, and it's not a cliche, man. You have to be the change that you want to see. If you want something, start acting like it's yours, man. If you want a house, put little stuff up to visualize or start. If you rent a house, start acting like the house is yours. Then maybe you start walking in that and it'll become yours.
That's right.
But it got to start right here, because if you just have a renter's mentality, then you're not going to care for the place. You'll be like, this place ain't mine. The landlord, this, that. That's a position of powerlessness, man.
That's right.
I'm talking about thinking like a king. I'm talking about thinking like a boss. You know what I'm saying? The place is yours. You know what I'm saying?
I have the power. Now this is what it means to wear the crown. When I wear my crown, I understand that I am valuable. I am a tuning fork that can attract a magnitude of value into my life. I already have this ability.
Yeah.
Wearing my crown means if I can calculate that I'm worth at least $100 million, then I can attract $100 million of life to my body.
Yeah.
That's a home, that's land, that's tuition for your children, that's a provision for your future and for your grandchildren's future and for your great grandchildren's future. This is the opposite of believing that you are worthless.
That's right.
For those people who might feel that this is some sort of blasphemy or artificial concept, can you connect your value, your wearing the crown, to the word of God for us? Are you able to do that for us tonight?
Listen, bro. Before I got out, man, I study every day a chapter of Proverbs from King Solomon, man, who is the most richest person and wisest person that ever walked the earth aside from Jesus himself, man. King Solomon. And the principles outlined in Proverbs can give you the jewels that you need to be prosperous, man, if that's what you really are going for. You know what I'm saying? The principles outlined in there. And all I'm saying is, one of the key principles, I'm gonna just give it to y'all right here, man, because I can give it to you, but if you're not at a spiritual level, you're not even gonna hear what I'm saying anyway. But the principle is real simple, but it's add value to the lives of other people. Serve other people. Now, a lot of people can't get to that because they're so selfish and so, from what I'm seeing on Instagram and all this, like people are really like vanity, like they're really all about themselves. So they can't really, if they give you something, it's like wanting something, it's like with strings attached, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying any person you come into contact with, seek to add value to their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And when you add value, then it automatic, it's like just giving is a spiritual principle. Now you got people that take that to the whole level and make you think sowing a seed and all that in church, but they just understand the principle of giving. When you give, you're never gonna meet a broke giver. People that give from their heart cheerfully, these people got it. It's a principle involved, man, of just releasing. So I'm just saying, like, you might say, man, I ain't got a job, I can't do this, it's hard. But yo, just go to a place and just ask them how you can help. What can you do here to help? And I'll work for free for a week. I'll work for some time. Let me show you what I can do. So I'm just saying, man, adding value to others, that's something that I live by. It might be just some information. It just might be some encouragement for the day. You know, it might be a specific gift to a person. You know, that can help them. So that's, to me, that's wearing the crown, because you're walking in the greatest crown, the one that wore the greatest crown. And that's what Jesus did. He served, man. He got down and washed people's feet, but he came from on high to this level and served.
That's right.
Served.
See, if anybody goes and replays this episode, there has been a series of important connections that if you connect them in a certain way, you can understand how to not only correct your life, but to elevate your community. We talked about how we have we have a problem with our own understanding of our own value because of the way that our communities have been impacted, which resulted in, lack of conversations about the value of one another. And you look around and we are taking each other's lives, we are eating each other alive, and we are not valuing one another. And so if you don't value yourself, then quite naturally it's difficult for you to add value to the lives of others. You don't think you have any value. But if you begin to understand that your life is extremely valuable, and that when you give, it's not that we're asking you to give some money, then we have an opportunity to change the game. Because if it's not the money that makes me valuable, then what is it that makes me valuable? And when you say, you just said it, maybe you give somebody some knowledge, you give them some wisdom. Think about how much sense we have. I'm talking about what they say, common sense. Think about how much sense we have, whether you are incarcerated, whether you are in a life of crime, or you're doing things as best as you can. We have a lot of sense. We're rich when it comes to sense. We are wealthy when it comes to sense. And what we are raising awareness about tonight is how when we begin to share this sense and germinate this sense, then cultures come out of it, like hip hop. In the beginning, hip hop wasn't about just saying anything. It was about making sense. And so if we could just get back to making sense, then we can get back to evolving powerful cultures out of ourselves, even if you're not starting out with $1 million or, a big fortune, materialistically speaking. Now, Alfred, did you ever hold on? Let's see if his connection reestablishes. Let's give it a second. Everybody, I feel that this has been a powerful conversation tonight. We got a few people watching the show. Please like the video, thumb up the video, and let's get some reactions in the building. If you have a question or comment, put it in here, and we're going to see if we can get Alfred back for the remainder of this show. These are the types of conversations that I love to have here on the show. These are conversations that can help our people. When I say our people, I'm talking about everybody who has the heart to tune in. to connect the dots in ways that will advance their quality of life. We look for conversations, we look for think tanks and ciphers that we can use to actually see things in a better way. And this has been one of those conversations. So feel free to share this episode. All right. Also, I want to let you guys know I have a season finale coming up. If you've been watching the show, you know I'm on episode 250 something, and I'm coming up with a grand finale. I want to have a very special guest for this grand finale. Somebody who's willing to share their story, somebody who's willing to leave it all inside of this episode. And if you feel you have this person, you know someone who would be great for the grand finale, I want you to reach out to me and I want you to put us in touch. Let's see if we have Alfred back here.
Yeah.
Hey, Alfred. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we are rounding third base here in the show. And I was asking, did you ever begin to write any of this stuff down? Have you written any books, or have you thought about writing any books?
Oh yeah, I did. I wrote a book in 2010 while I was in prison that became a kind of like a little hood classic called Diamond Bullets, 44 Laws Dispelling Illusions of the Game by Al Monday. That was my little rap name I used to use back when I was, before I went in. Al Monday. So you can check that out. It's on Amazon. I got Baby Shark here. Baby Shark, The Childhood Genius of Damon John.
What's that about? Talk to us about that real quick. What's that?
Yeah, so Damon John is the guy on Shark Tank right here.
Yeah,
he was a guy, a good brother of mine who I grew up with, and with a fellow graffiti artist friend of mine. We went to school together, and in Baby Shark, as you know, it's a big song or whatever, but I had that before the song or any of that stuff came out. It's just about him and I's experiences as children and some things I got to saw that the world didn't see, and let me just give you an example, you know what I'm saying? Because parents might want to know how to discover these leadership or these business talents in their child. I want to help them be able to detect these things and cultivate it. So when we used to come home from school, Damon and I, his house was on the way to my house. So we would stop at his house first. So his mother would have some chores and stuff for him to do. And a little note there about something he can fix in the refrigerator. So oftentimes he would make a grilled cheese sandwich. He was very good at it. Or he would make an egg sandwich. And don't you know, the good brother would charge me for a sandwich or some juice.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He was always very frugal, always respected a dollar, wasn't wasteful. I'm a little wasteful. I'm a little more carefree. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he was always more respectful of the dollar bill. You know what I mean? So, but this, if you might see your child have these kinds of tendencies or ways, but this was a young businessman. Like, he's selling me, sandwiches every day. I ain't feeling them on it. I'm like, yo, you my dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm helping. What about I'm gonna charge you to help you with this homework you need. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's just some stuff you got to be able to identify. And your child might be just an ordinary looking child, like it might be a knucklehead, you know what I'm saying? But you got to be able to cultivate them gifts, you know what I'm saying? It's DVDs you can give your child, it's stuff on YouTube, leadership, it's books you can give them to read to help cultivate those talents. Because he could have wound up being locked up and we would have never heard of FUBU or any of that.
That's right.
Because he did have brushes with the law, as a young man, but I'm just saying, like, that's what's in the book. Stuff like
absolutely. That. Okay, so people can find you as an author at Al Monday. They can find your books on Amazon, you said?
Right. No, that's the Diamond Bullets book because I wrote that in 2010.
Okay.
I mean, that was back then, but this Baby Shark is under Alfred Cleveland. That's on your screen.
Okay.
Alfred Cleveland. And I also have one more thing. I got a relationship book that my wife and I came out simultaneously with. And that's this one right here. It's called 3 Strands, 1 Chord, A
Okay.
Couple's Guide to Understanding Incarceration. And it's not nothing that's going to do no crazy numbers or like that, but this is a service for my wife and I to couples that's enduring incarceration, because we
Okay.
didn't have nobody to teach us about it. And we just had to find our way. So the things we learned along the way, we put
Okay.
it in a book for couples.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Okay.
going through that experience, and families that's going through
Okay.
incarceration, man. It's heavy
All right.
duty. Yeah.
Alfred, we are down to the final 20 seconds of the show. 20
Okay.
seconds. And I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
My first question, what is survival to you?
Survival is when you're hungry and you got to make ends meet by any means.
That's right. What is success to you?
Success is relative. Success, it might be family, it could be money, whatever it is to you. I feel like that might be what you need to aim and focus on to, to get it.
That's right. What is greatness to you?
It's serving. That's what Jesus said. He said the greatest among you is the one that serves. So that's the leadership model that I like to use. And I believe servant leadership is the most powerful and effective leadership.
Alfred Cleveland, I want to let you know we've listened to your story today, and we are giving you your respect today. We're also giving you your crown while you're still alive to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Put your crown emojis into the chat. We are letting you know, letting the world know that you, Alfred Cleveland, you are America's next motivator.
Okay. All right. I like that, man.
Absolutely. You got crowns coming into the building. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
Thank you, bro. Anytime, man. Holla at your boy.
Holla at your boy. Yes, sir.
Keep doing what you're doing, too, bro.
Yes, sir.
Keep doing that, man.
All righty. Hey, everybody. There you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you got to do, just like we did today, is stop by and pick it up.